Welcome everybody to the Heart Coherence Collaborative. Today we're so excited. We have two of our dear friends and mentors, Sheva Carr and Robert Browning, with us. They have taught us so much.
Yes, so I almost feel a little sense of nervousness because it's reminding me of being in class with you guys. It's interactive with people. They taught us, we're Heart Math certified trainers, and we did the Resilience Advantage program. So this is so fun to be doing it this way and not have a lesson that I've prepared for and feel afraid to deliver.
I think we should have you back to do your training again so that you can come with the spirit of fun rather than nervousness.
Rather than the spirit of
Well,
fun.
and I think this is foundational. Like, when we met you, going through the certification process, I mean, we were all
I knew Kyle before that.
You did know Kyle before that, but when all four of us got to meet each other in relationship, it's like we were all learning and breathing coherence together.
We were meeting each other at that time too.
Yeah.
It's like we were really just meeting each other at that point in time. We were just
I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, we were newly together.
Yeah, that's true. Just a couple
Imagine how the world would be just if we suspend belief for a moment. If every time a couple came together, they had to go through coherence training. The speed level of their relationship, how that would change the entire world and certainly the divorce rate.
Well, what's interesting is just how what naturally arises out of a field of coherence. We can just see each other, or what the natural qualities that draw one to another, whether that's in a intimate relationship or a friend relationship or a business. Like, it is amazing the magic and the beauty that arises out of when you're coming together with the intention to be coherent. And I'm just realizing that.
For sure. Would you like to dive us into the heart?
Sure, we would. Is that me? Is that the me you or the we you? All right. Why don't we all just shift our attention to the area around the heart and imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area, just a little deeper than usual, and just finding a rhythm that's comfortable for you. And as you continue to breathe through the heart area, just make a sincere attempt to experience a regenerative feeling, such as appreciation or care or compassion or love for someone or something in your life, something that just comes easy to you right now. And breathe that through the heart area. Do that in silence just for a moment. And just gently radiate that feeling to whoever intuitively arises for you. Perhaps it's a relationship that is meaningful to you. Perhaps it's a connection with another person or being that you wish was closer, or there was a separation at one point. Just ask your heart, what's the quality of heart you want to radiate to that being? And the intention for a connection. And we'll just breathe that together just for a moment. All right, gang. Thank you. least I can just dive us in.
Yeah, so I would love thank you for that. That felt really amazing and I feel connected. I would love to just have you introduce yourselves a little bit to our audience, or we begin this conversation, just a little bit about who you are, especially in regards to the heart.
Absolutely. My name is Robert Browning. I've worked with the Heart
Nice
Myth.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You guys know each other?
How many years ago was it now? 28?
Whoa.
27 and a half? A while ago. 3 months before I met Heart Math. For about 27 plus years, I've been with Heart Math. I'm one of the co-directors here for Heart Math Healthcare, master trainer. But I met Sheva 3 months before I bumped into Heart Math. And just quick snippet on that. I had made a commitment to my life to learn about love and the power of the heart. And within about a few weeks' time, I met Sheva in Los Angeles. And a few weeks after that, I bumped into Heart Math, and the rest became my life story. So we can click on that later if you want. But who are you?
Yeah, I loved it, Kyle, when you said, "Who are you?" And my first thought was, well, that's once you start activating the heart in your life, not just an alive question that you live every day and discover anew. Or even in relationship, though we've been together for 28 almost years, that we used to play around like if we were meeting each other in a coffee shop, as if we were meeting for the first time. And so we haven't done that in a long time because of COVID. We haven't been meeting in coffee shops. But it was so just an old game came out. But I'm realizing as it did, that's part of the secret to the longevity of our relationship is we always are discovering ourselves anew and each other anew, not carrying past perceptions of who we were into what's here now. And it keeps the freshness of life and the passion for life and for connection very invigorated.
I want to just click on that for a second. We're in an organic role. I mean, I know we talked about this could lean into coherence and relationships, and it's just such an important point you're bringing forward around the unadaptation process to see each other new now, and how to see ourselves. We have a relationship with ourselves, and we have a relationship with those in our proximal life, and we have a relationship to the world. But this quality of where we can get these exceptions, like we log in out of survival or for whatever reason, safety, or just understanding of connection, like, but we're constantly evolving beings. And so if we can't constantly reset and see each other new now, it can go stagnant. So this is like an incredibly good point you bring up.
Yeah, I think there's some fun deep ends of the pool we could swim over to there, but just for the sake of
I'm swimming. You swimming? I'm swimming.
Bring your scuba gear. For the sake of this conversation, so Robert and I met when I was in medical school, becoming a doctor of Oriental medicine, and now I run a couple of I'm a director of a couple of divisions at HeartMath. We co-direct and work together, which we love. That's a whole other thing to talk about in how coherence builds both, life partnership and business partnership. We co-direct the organizational division of HeartMath. So we get to work with the large populations of individuals in the house of a culture of an hospital or a corporation, helping them bring these tools to the social coherence and individual coherence of collaboration inside an organization, which I love. And I also have a membership-based program, which is how I met Kyle, called Heart Ambassadors, which has a nonprofit branch with consultative status to the United Nations and the G20. And we bring this science and intelligence of the heart into the front lines of some of the biggest solutions we need to solve for on our planet, like hunger and climate and access to clean water and violent conflict mitigation, negotiation, and things like that. So the heart has taken me on quite an adventure and given me the opportunity to meet just incredible people like the 3 people I get to be here with right now, and all of you that we haven't met yet.
And I think what's really neat, I'm going to dive off that too, is that when you strip away everything, you know, all the titles and the experiences and just everything, like I think one of the things as far as a coherent foundation of our relationship and with one another is it's this commitment to the relationship, to love itself, like to the core qualities that drive us into what's purposeful or meaningful in life. And so there's been many times through all the iterations of our relationship, it has to keep reinventing and changing and kaleidoscoping. But the one thing that's always kept it was a commitment to our core values of what we wanted to put into the world at a heart level. The hats change, the titles change, everything shape shifts over time. But
actually, there's one title that as a couple, both in business and in marriage, that we've held with rigor, even in the blustering hurricane winds of life. And that's our best friend's hat. When all else fails, we always come back to our best friend's hat, which is actually, I think, isn't that something the founder of HeartMath gave us originally in the early days?
Yeah, and I think so. And it reminds me of the 2 of you, because like, what is a best friend's hat? It's like a commitment to being able to go, okay, man, I got something I got to talk about, but can we just put our best friends hats on?
We would say
just
that
be honest and vulnerable, so you can really get to the heart of the situation, which naturally emerges more coherent.
But also a best friend energy has qualities that physiologically change over 1,400 things in our bodies and our brains, including how we're perceiving what's happening and responding to it. If you think about sitting down with a best friend with a hat on, you naturally want what's best for that person. You naturally put your own agenda and preconceived notions to the side to really want to hear, how are you? How can I love and support you? Not what's in it for me. What am I going to get? Or how can you validate me? And that unconditional love and care and compassion and curious interest changes the heart rhythm pattern. That's HeartMath's unique contribution really to the field of science, from a chaotic stress rhythm pattern to this coherence, which we talked about at the beginning but didn't really define. This coherent sine curve that begins to harmonize the entire internal physiological system, so that all our organ systems, our immune system, our endocrine system, our hormonal system, our autonomic nervous system and central nervous system begin working in this synchronized symphony orchestra, all playing off the same sheet of music, instead of the way an orchestra sounds when it's a cacophony of warming up. And when we get that internal physiological coherence, it changes how we perceive each other. And when we come from care, really that best friend, unconditional care for other, then 2 hearts that beat as one isn't just a poetic song lyric. It's a scientific reality. And that crosses species too, by the way. We can have synchronization or entrainment of heart rhythms between someone and their horse, or you with your dog or your cat. We've been able to measure this in the laboratory. And when it comes to couples like Robert and I, when we practice synchronizing our heart rhythms together in that way through common values, as Robert said, working together for common values, living from a common values platform. Then there's some more recent research that shows even when we're separated, our hearts remain entrained. Like if one of us is traveling for business or something like that, or for fun. Anyway.
Well, and this happens both in the seen or the seen world, or what we communicated dialogue, but the unseen world. So, for example, if I'm just hanging out with her and I'm having judgments of life, it could be anything. You know, I'm frustrated at the news, or I'm upset with myself that I ate too much for breakfast and now I have like a bellyache. Like all those layered on emotions start to distort not only the vibrations in my heart, but the field that it's generating. And so many times I might just have my personal stressors on board, and because I'm sitting next to her, it starts distorting the field environment. And she might feel like, oh, am I judging her, or am I stressed at her? I'm just feeling stressed or judgment. But you can extrapolate that over all the relationships, all the families, all the communities where we're taking each other personally. But it's quite an individual game. If I'm just playing the game at my local level of, hey, I'm trading in this judgment or this insecurity for more love or more confidence, suddenly my field starts changing. And to Sheva's point, it's like suddenly it helps be more of a collaborative support in the connection with one another. And then, of course, it's all the ways we feel about each other. It's like the more that I don't take whatever she's going through personally and turn it into love, but like we're mirrors for each other. We're growth buddies. Like if we're both people who are wanting to grow in coherence, how amazing to have someone who can like be a buddy with you for that. So that's like one of the friend's hat, part of the friend's hat paradigm.
Well, you bring up a really interesting point, though. And a crucial part of being a best friend isn't taking the other person personally.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you're stressed, not projecting, oh, you're judging me. That's taking it personally.
Right.
And that's where it all begins, because then that would be blame. We could probably get an Oscar for playing that out, except that it would be method acting, because every couple does. But if you're stressed and I'm like finger wagging, what are you feeding the field with your incoherence, you bad human? Now I'm in blame because I'm blaming my dysregulation on him. But what makes relationships work is that every person is actually 100% responsible for how they feel. And then when you have two tall redwood trees who don't lean on each other to feel better, then they can intertwine their roots and be more stable because of proximity. And so each one of us comes to this with that commitment that whatever Robert is going through right now, I'm 100% responsible for my inner life. And then I can be a broadcast influence of coherence and that optimal synchronized state. Even if he's having a moment out of balance and vice versa, then we're supporting each other's climb up that redwood tree and rooting for each other, literally.
That's even if I had eaten a whole bunch of beans that night. Like even then, she's responsible.
Wow.
For that was last night.
We do have a solution for that, and it's not heart math. But anyway, there's a wonderful floral spray which we have that comes from someone we love very dearly who
rose
has
petals. It takes rose petals. There you go.
At her events.
You find solutions.
She makes sprays with their used rose petals, and that's in every room of her house. But what we're feeding the field is not unlike that. It's just,
it's not so different.
It's an odorless, invisible ink.
That's right.
That we're all broadcasting based on our inner life, that we can start to learn to create deliberately rather than reactively. And that is very exciting for the world.
So clearly, the two of you, based off of that great just conversation of who you are, you're clearly pillars of healthy relationships in this world. And Leah and I both admire you. And I'm sure that there's some people that are listening right now that might feel like where you're at is so far from where they are in their relationships. I mean, I could even say that could be the case sometimes for how I feel, and I would love to just offer some advice for our audience on first steps to getting into on the pathway to be where you are.
Wow. There's so many levels and layers to that. I mean, I'll go first. I want to ask permission. Just make sure. I mean, ultimately, this is what I've learned in this process is that ultimately it's the relationship between you and yourself. I mean, you and your larger self or your smaller self or whatever you want to call it. Just, there's so much that needs to be in place. I feel that our larger self, our larger intelligence, our soul, our spirit, whatever you want to call it, if you believe in it or not, or just our common sense, whatever your relationship is to you, there's this inner guiding principle to drive us to grow, to expand, to evolve. And there's always a guiding intelligence to help maneuver where we are, who we're relating to, either our life context, our relational context, in the just right way for the next edge of growth for you. So for me, there was a rhythm in my life where I wanted to be in a relationship with her, but I wasn't ready. My larger part of me knew I would short circuit. I wasn't mature enough. I didn't have enough integrity on board. I didn't have enough self-honesty on board. I had too many addictions still at play, like types of addictions. We all can be addicted to something. It doesn't have to be a substance. I mean, just attached to things for my sense of security or fulfillment. And so piece by piece, life knew that if I had entered this level of a relationship, I would have burned it to toast. It would have been like, okay, not ready. Okay, so it would have wasted an opportunity. And so instead, life very caringly drew to me the situations that were at just the right challenge level. It's like a game to work on that edge of growth for me. So it's a relationship between us and our large. But what I noticed, and we would actually, because we were best friends through a decade of this process. Oh. She was ready, but I wasn't, and I kind of wanted to, but then she was, not quite in the place to at that moment. But we would laugh about this because as we got onto ourself, we'd get this little extra credit present. Life would arrange where, oh, she had a trip up and we could hang out. And then we'd spend a few days together, and then suddenly we're back to our own lives. We had a long distance relationship for 12 years. And so, is that right? 12? About 12? Somewhere in there. More? Long time. Anyhow.
I don't know. I'm so focused on sending our audience love. Mathematical.
I would say right wherever you history. Are, in whatever relationship you are, you're in just the right place. Your larger intelligence knows exactly what you need for your next level of growth, expansion, and fulfillment. And even inside of a relationship, if that's the current growth arc you're in, it's still the same thing. It's still that relationship with yourself inside of the mirror of that relationship. That's probably my first tip.
I love that last sentence you said, and I love this question, Kyle. I really love this question because for one thing, it's really fun for me to look back on my 20-something self and beam this interview to her. Because by the time I was 25, which is how old I was when I met Robert, I had gone through 7 miserable, horrible breakups. I had trouble keeping roommates in my graduate school condo. So I kept cycling through those partnerships. I had all kinds of failed business partnerships, and I had actually decided that I was just a person who didn't have relationships that lasted, that I was not wired for it, that I wasn't capable of it. I had resigned. I'd given up. and I saw the world around me. We didn't have Facebook back then. I'm old. We didn't have Facebook back then. So I didn't have that to look at, to compare myself to, but I could look around, and I think that's just torture, the way we present ourselves on social media. And so at the time, I looked at other people who were in fulfilling business partnerships, roommate relationships, and of course the biggie, the romance and romantic relationships that really gets people. And I felt like there was a glass wall between me and all that fulfillment that's in every Shakespeare play somewhere, or Shakespearean sonnets and Hallmark greeting cards and chocolate boxes on Valentine's Day. The whole world puts so much energy on this because there's resource in it for us. But I felt like there was every song, every rom-com, there was a glass wall between me and that fulfillment that the rest of the world seemed to know about. And it was a source of enormous suffering and a sense of not belonging in this world for me. So if anyone in this audience is feeling that, I feel you. I got your back. And I started at the bottom of that dungeon and had to claw my way out with, inch by inch, learning how it all works before I had something that's lasted in business, in marriage, in cohabiting for 30 years almost. And there's that inch by inch learning and trying and falling back down the wall, finding how do I get on the other side of what I can see but I can't experience, really became the content and the structure of, I think you've taken it, Kyle, the relationship mastery course in Heart Mastery, where I packaged everything I learned. You guys done that yet, or you haven't done it yet?
No, I actually haven't. No, I would like to.
Yeah, I'm on board for that.
Well, it's Kyle is the only person currently in the world who has a lifetime scholarship to our Heart Mastery program, including relationship mastery courses. And so it's there for you guys anytime you want to dive in. But the first step, since you asked about the first step, because there were a lot of steps, I'm just going to say that there still are. Like, we recorded relationship mastery almost 15 years ago, maybe. And the last 15 years have brought us so much more growth and understanding. We could, it keeps going and growing, which is very exciting and fresh and new all the time. But the first step, to go back to that for me, including what you're saying, Robert, and by the way, HeartMath in the early days of their research stopped teaching relationship workshops because couples would come, or business partners would come and want to fix the other person. They wanted the workshop to make the other person who they wanted to be with. And they didn't want to, what's the Michael Jackson song? They didn't want to look at the man in the mirror. Man, figuratively, whoever you are, whatever your gender identity. And so they just started teaching people how to change themselves, because in physics, reality is created in the quantum world through resonance causation. And what that means is, in a quantum physics universe, like attracts like. And that could be opposites attract. How? Because like vibration attracts like vibration. So if I come to myself in the vibration of victim, I'm a point of attraction for the puzzle piece of perpetrator. And that's just our prey-predator physiology playing itself out at happy hour, which turns into very unhappy hour in very short order. And so I knew that if I wanted lasting love, I needed to become the puzzle piece for it first. I needed to be the point of attraction or the wiring to that light bulb that would create the circuitry. It wasn't something I was going to find outside of myself. It was something I needed to create here. Or another analogy for it is, you know, if I'm living in the basement apartment, but the party's happening in the penthouse, I need to take the elevator up to the penthouse to bump into the people at the party. I can't wander around the basement expecting to find the person that will be my party. And that's the primary mistake most people make when they're looking for how to get past that glass wall. They think they're looking for the right person when they need to become that person. And in simple, like street terms, what that means for me, and the first step in Heart Mastery, actually, it's a project we take all the way through the 2 relationship mastery and 1 and 2 programs, is calling in all that positive projection in the following way, which I did in my 20s. I let myself go ahead and fantasize. What do I tell myself? And I've done this in business, and I've done it in this, you know, romantic relationship area. What am I telling myself my ideal partner is? What is it I'm actually looking for? And I just let myself have the fantasy. What do I want? And I wrote it all down. And I looked at that, and to Robert's point earlier, what core values would that person live by? And for that matter, what activities would they love? How would they give themselves to the world? How would they relate to me? I got really interested in specific, and then I stopped looking for it like a menu or a checklist at unhappy hour
Or a swipe.
wherever, right, or a swipe left or whatever it is, where swipe right, where everybody's, you know, looking, do you meet my job description? Which is a really unpleasant way to relate to other human beings, constantly evaluating and assessing each other. And I chose to become all those things. I chose to date myself, to be my own business partner, I ended up living alone for a while, to become the qualities I wanted to live with, to become the qualities I wanted to love and partner with, I wrote a book about it actually called Being the Source of Love, to be that which I was looking for outside. And that single choice, and then I used HeartMath tools to accomplish that, not just as a metaphor or some kind of spiritual idealism, but to physiologically become that resonant frequency of love, that resonant frequency of deep listening and attentive care. And I got up in the morning, and I wouldn't get out of bed until I could get as excited to spend the day with me as I would have been excited if Robert was coming to visit.
This is so awesome. I have to bridge on this because this is just so good. Because what you're saying, what she's saying, is why we're here on the planet, is to be a creator. You know, we're here to learn how to create. It's a planet of creation, and it directly connects to the 30-day Heart Coherence Challenge, because so many people wait for the conditions to be right to finally be coherent. When I have enough money, when I finally feel safe, or when I finally have the right clothing, or the whatever it is, whatever your story is, like, if I only had that, then I'll be coherent. It's missing the whole game. The whole game is like, well, how do you move in your inner creationary skills to create coherence, even when it seems distorted? Because then you are the creation of that. You're not waiting for life to change around you. And what she's saying is the same thing applies to relationships. She wasn't going to wait for Mr. or Mrs. or whatever, right, the form it came in. She's just going to create all the stuff she wanted to experience and swim in that creation inside of herself. And then
I actually took myself on a honeymoon to Hawaii and took a helicopter ride over waterfalls, and
that's pretty cool. But then, so that the way I've experienced her in the times that we've been living together for 12 years, it plus maybe 14. Wow. That I don't feel her pulling on me to give her something she lacks. Instead, we can share in each other's creationary power. We can share in each other what we want to give to the world. So it amplifies the synergy as opposed to codependency. Oh. That's pretty cool. And we're human. We go into codependent stuff at times, or like, but that's okay. We're all evolving. But that's the foundational commitment to go for that.
Can I just have one follow-up before we move on from this? Because this is so powerful. Just I would also love to just maybe provide anybody some sort of compassion or understanding for maybe why do we naturally look outside in the first place? So maybe just providing some insight on that could make people not feel so bad if that's been their past. Why do we become codependent in the first place?
Did you want to speak to that? I mean, it's not just natural. Like, go to Netflix.
Yeah.
And you can see plenty of indoctrination. And I personally love Netflix, but there's plenty of messaging that we're surrounded by. And really, when it comes to this type of marriage partnership or any relationship involving our sexuality, that, first of all, sexuality, if it's not related to deliberately, and one learns how to self-regulate your physiology and leverage sexual energy for a higher octave of creation, it easily triggers that prey predator survival physiology, because the physical purpose of it is survival of the species. So it can cause a cascade of limiting consciousness and stress response until people get on top of that and have tools to work with it deliberately in a different way. And because of that, our sexuality has been co-opted by religion and advertising agencies and all kinds of things to enroll us in buying behavior, in the pursuit of things outside of ourselves for our validation and survival. And so it takes some powerful technology and tools and inner earnest to look at all that and do something different with your wiring. It's almost like, our friends who tinker with computers. You got to get the one that was wired the way it was. Or your nephew likes souped up Jeeps, but he gets the Jeep and the model it came in, and then he's got to do all kinds of stuff. We have to then deliberately wire ourselves for what creates healthy and healing relationships. And I, while you guys were talking, Robert and Kyle, I thought of something we could give your audience from Relationship Mastery for the 30-day challenge. So I just want to bookmark that in case that's fun. But you want to say
I'll say one more thing. And one of the reasons I'm so grateful for the 30-day challenge is the current state of the planet. It's like we're all swimming in this pool that Sheva just so eloquently described. It's a dense vibrational pool, that we're all swimming in, that stimulates similar thought forms and stimulates similar emotional patterns and needs. And you gave great voice to all the specificity of how that shows up in our life. But what we're all doing as a community with the 30-day Heart Coherence Challenge is we're like this, if you could imagine like this one singular radio station broadcasting like a new music tune to say, hey, you don't have to dance that song. You don't have to buy into all that messaging that we're insufficient if we look this way, or lacked if we don't feel this way.
Or we'll never be loved if we don't use this gum or this deodorant.
So as all of us are generating coherence, it's setting a new vibrational platform for the planet that has different governing rules, different thought forms, different feelings. It uplifts it to another state of more independence and power to create the world we want to live in. There's just more freedom. It's less density. Coherence does that.
From a really practical standpoint, how do you do that rewiring? Because we want you to walk away right now, today, with that capacity to take your programmed system and not just use its default modes from the imprinting of this prey predator survival physiology, but to really be able to rewire yourself and become the programmer of your own reality. And I think in terms of the first step, as you asked for it, Kyle, which I just love that question, because all we need at any moment on our journey is the next 6 feet. If we drove our car here from California out to the East Coast to visit Kyle and Leah, all we need is our headlights to illuminate the next 6 feet. And when I think about that, even on a, just an average day now, I love to stop and say, when I have that desire, and relationships light the fire of desire almost more than anything else on our planet, which is a gift. We don't want to give up desire. We just want to fulfill the desire from the place it can be fueled and fed. Otherwise, we're constantly opening these empty refrigerators. And so the hunger for relationship, you take that, whether it's to have a more satisfying relationship that you're already in or one you haven't met yet. And you ask yourself, if I got it, how do I tell myself it would make me feel? How do I tell myself that would make me feel? And in that moment is the opportunity for reprogramming. Now, instead of telling yourself, I need that thing outside me to feel the way I want to feel, let me choose to activate it and be the source of it right now. To be it in myself and for others. And that tool that Robert did a modified quick coherence with us at the beginning of the call, maybe we could just pause right now to do it again. To focus your attention, that's the first step, in the area around the heart. And imagine your breath is flowing in through the heart and out through the heart. Breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. This is a heart math technique called heart-focused breathing. And when I do heart-focused breathing, I like to invite my inhale and my exhale while maintaining my attention in the chest area to be even in length. Because that even inhale and even exhale hacks our physiology. It hacks that prey-predator survival mode that throws our relationships into that peril of our survival physiological system, where an infatuation becomes an enemy because it was based in primal survival, not in best friend's hat love. And as you breathe, so that even inhale, even exhale begins to balance the autonomic nervous system. Flipping the switch on prey-predator survival mode and bringing us into a new operating system where we access our heart, higher intelligence, and that unconditional love that we can be the source of in self-validation rather than seeking outer confirmation. As you marry your own higher nature, heart and brain in this physiological coherence, now here's a secret. You can't crave a feeling you've never had before. Those of you who are parents know this. Your kids did not ask for cupcakes and sugar until they tasted it before. Whatever you tell yourself that ideal relationship would give you in your feeling world, you have a reference point of feeling that before. Maybe not in relationship, but somewhere. Breathe that feeling or your appreciation of where you felt it before. That love, that being appreciated, that peace, that respect, whatever it is for you, passion, enthusiasm, bliss, I don't know what it is, but you breathe that feeling in through the heart and out through the heart. The addition of that feeling is the second step of the quick coherence technique. Heart-focused breathing with the activation of that heart feeling. And you know, if you can't get there, breathe compassion for the gap analysis of the desire and the hunger without the food yet. Just breathe gratitude and compassion that it's taking you on your next step as you breathe in through the heart. And out through the heart. That's rewiring the system. And that quick coherence technique now opens the aperture on your awareness to give you access to your intuitive guidance, the electrophysiology of your internal guidance system. So just ask your heart for any intuitive guidance it has for you right now. And listen. And that's your inner higher masculine, higher feminine capacity to listen to yourself first. Now make a commitment. If you heard guidance, if you didn't, that's okay. You left a voicemail for your guidance system. It'll call you back later, just like I just got a phone call, but I'm with all of you, so I'm not picking it up. I'll call them back later. If you heard something, though, make a commitment now to act on what you heard. That's your inner higher masculine. The foundational marriage that makes all outer partnership work is this partnership between your own capacity to hear yourself and act on what you hear. That's the head and heart, body, mind, soul, and emotions all working together in you. And then life has to reflect that in your outer partnerships. That's how you rewire the system. And so I would love to offer for the 30-day challenge that you commit to listening to your inner guidance system through this simple, quick coherence technique and acting on what you hear. That's the first thing I'd suggest every day, once a day at least, for your 30 days. And then there's an exercise we give our relationship mastery students for the 30 days of their relationship mastery course, which is to pick a relationship they want to enhance with heart. It could be one you're in right now. It could be one you wish you had that you haven't met yet. It could even be with a person who's deceased, who you'd like to have a better relationship with. And your task is to write them a note of a gratitude and appreciation every day for 30 days. Can't be the same thing you're appreciating. It's got to be something new. That's the rule. Now, usually we make our relationship mastery students wait till the end of the course for the punchline. But we're going to give it to you now because we don't get to come back and be with you, I don't think, at the end of all this. At the end of those 30 days, give yourself the notes and appreciate yourself for embodying all those qualities. So you might want to write them out twice if it's a real person. I used to hide these notes in Robert's shoes or in his medicine cabinet.
But I was supposed to give them back to you?
No.
Yes.
We live together, so, but you
That's
might
right.
want to do 2 copies of each little Post-it note. And I will just say one more quick thing, which is when I was deliberately rewiring my physiology, reprogramming it, just like as if I was a computer programmer, that I did a lot of research on the biomedical side of what it takes to create neurological change. And I came across a NASA study that said it takes 21 days. So that's 9 days short of your 30. 21 days to create a neurological habit change. So our habit of seeking validation and giving our power away in relationship, which then mirrors into this prey-predator physiology with each other and creates stress and separation and isolation and discord. If we really commit to your 30 days, according to NASA, we can create a new neurological habit. And that's how I got past that glass wall to the fulfillment. Thank you, Robert. They get lipstick on you. The genuine fulfillment that I saw on the other side, now I was able to step into, and it's our honor to facilitate that internal fulfillment first, and then it's external flowering for you. But you got to let go of what you think the form might be.
Yeah, that's so essential, because so like the whole thing for the 30 days that Sheva is saying, it is that relationship, but between you and yourself. It's the relationship between your heart and your mind. It's connecting those wires, and so everything outpours from there. And it's true that relationship could be completely a different form. It could be just you and yourself, but in an energetic relationship with others. Or it could be like we have these relationships with people on the end of our cul-de-sac. We had no idea we were all going to become a family. We can see 4 neighbors from here, and we like talk to each other on the decks, and we like get each other's backs. Like
that came from Robert and I dealing with, do we want to have children? Are we capable of having children? Totally different kind of relationship. And we did this process. We said, well, if we had the nuclear family that was our dream, how would we feel? And we generated that feeling, knowing that's taking the elevator to the penthouse where the party is. We don't know who we're going to meet there, but we know they're going to be a match for our joy, our nurturing, our figure 8 of friendship, connection, and being able to support a being in their highest best.
Yeah.
And that family became our global family of heart ambassadors and our family of neighbors.
And it's like our family with you all and the whole community that you've built. Like this is the whole draw of each other and helping each other.
So we had to let go of the form and become the feeling, and let the form reveal itself to us once we got to that penthouse of vibration.
That's it right there. That's what this challenge is all about. Feel the feeling for 30 days and let the form reveal itself.
Now, nobody can sustain a feeling for 30 days. Let's just
30 days straight. You have to feel gratitude nonstop.
The way we do this is the way you fly a plane. Have either of you ever flown a plane, Kyle?
Oh, well, just a little toy one.
I was delivering a heart math workshop for someone who said, hey, can I, I'll fly you to the workshop and fly you back in my little, 2-seater, so you don't have to pay airfare if I can come to your workshop, tuition free. I was like, sure. And then on the way back from the workshop, we got to 15,000 or 10,000 feet, and he let go of what looked like a toy joystick, like an Atari game, and said, okay, you're going to fly the plane now. And I was using my heart math tools. I was appreciating being alive and wanting to keep it that way. And I'd never flown a plane, and he didn't prepare me for this. So I grabbed the thing, and he showed me the coordinates. So there are coordinates you look at on a plane. You say, this is where I want to go. And the way you fly a plane is when the plane tells you you're veering off the coordinates, you course correct. So veering off is actually how you find your direction. And this works that way too. So don't judge yourself if you don't feel the way you want to feel. That's the opportunity to use that tool to course correct. Now,
well,
when I flew the plane, by the way, just, you know, in case that ever happens to you, planes don't fly like a car drives. And he knew I was going to do that. So the first time I tried to correct it, we started doing a flip and I screamed and he laughed because he was a pilot instructor and we got back on course. And then I learned it's just these subtle changes, like the way, oh, now I'm dating myself, but the way you turn a dial on a radio. It's not far. The founder of HeartMath used to say, it's just a bandwidth away.
Yeah. And embrace those moments when you can't feel it, because it's actually everything modulates. And it's when we're in that low part and we're remembering the intention to what we want to create again, that's the strengthener. It's what builds the muscle. And so it's all foundational work so that every time you turn that and go back to what is it you're wanting to create, you're building muscle in that process. It makes you it has a stronger baseline. So you go through those modulations. It's very normal. And it's not like the rosy idealism, but like it's a strengthening as you go.
I feel so complete.
That feels so complete. I was just going to say that same sentence. We're on a roll.
Yeah. Thank you for this.
You guys are, your hearts are synchronized and trained.
I love you too. Deeply.
And, you know, Kyle, we could delete this out if you want, but I don't know if you wanted to. At Heart Mastery, we could offer anyone who's participating a complimentary consult with one of our licensed HeartMath coaches and trainers.
Absolutely. Yes.
You want help rewiring or help with any of your relationships, then you can have a one-on-one, no strings attached, best friend's hat, but HeartMath trained best friend to have that unconditional loving conversation with you and help you in your next 6 feet of progress toward where you want to go. And I'll just say the relationship mastery course at Heart Mastery comes in the 8th month of the training, because the foundation of relationship mastery is personal mastery first. So, you know.
And don't be afraid if you're out there and you're thinking about this to ask for help. It always helps whoever you're asking for help when you do ask. So
yeah, absolutely.
Pick up the call and ask. Call me. I'll connect you with Sheva and Robert. And, you know, it's helped me tremendously. So I'm so grateful for both of you for all your heart wisdom and just your friendship. I'm looking forward to continuing to expand this connection.
Absolutely.
Like this,
we love you both. Deeply.
There's a reason you're the only permanent scholarship person in our family.
There's something, Kyle, and I know I've shared this with you just in our chats, but just your nitty gritty, raw transparency, just to be real with what's going on inside. Like that level of heart vulnerability is the key to like all of it. So, you know, and Leah, you're very much exactly the same. So the fact that you share that with us, it's a huge gift. That's just a gift into itself. So thank you.
Yeah.
And you guys are both amazing HeartMath trainers. I don't know why in the least, Leah, that you were nervous to deliver your teach back and your certification. So you also are an incredible resource to the community that's here watching, and I encourage them to learn more from you.
Thank you. Well, I was simultaneously on vacation and doing the program at the same time because it was a little bit challenging. My brother was outside the door, running around, loud construction guy. It was a wild scene over there.
But I'm so glad you're saying that, Leah, because that's why HeartMath works. We don't have to have the ideal circumstances to strive internally for our ideals. Yes. We get to bring heart into what isn't optimal and be the optimal inside it. And you 100% did that.
Thank you. It's like how soldiers remember the war fondly. I have like a
oh no,
Kyle and I.
Not a good advertisement for our certification. It's like in the war.
No,
I'm joking.
Great.
It was a wild vacation in general. Part of the memory too. But we loved our training, but it was challenging and it was awesome. And it was more so challenging for me because of the vacation scene that I was on. But I loved it. So thank you guys for being our teachers.
Thank you guys for being who you are.
Thank you for inviting us.
Did this give you what you hoped to have? Was this
Yeah.
It was perfect.
I am blown away. I'm ready to do the work that you just laid out for me to do, to be who I'm hoping to be.
Yeah, it was
So,
well timed and perfect.
yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was beyond divine, you know, and that's.
And did Melinda give you the links you need, and we can get you a link for
Yeah,
the free?
we'll plug everybody in. So anybody watching, if you want to get involved with anything that Sheva and Robert are doing, we'll have all the links below for everything they have going on, and all of it is wonderful. So
Yes.
these
So
two are amazing.
we are sending love to everybody and thank you so much. We hope you come on again.
Yes.
Because I have more questions.
Yeah, that was so good.
We love hanging out with you. Okay, anytime.
Bye, everybody. Sending you love.